Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, it's time for Below Grade Level. Listener beware, you're in for a scare.
Hello and welcome to Below Grade Level, a brand new podcast where we take the books that we loved as children and we read them as adults. This is the very first episode of Below Grade Level, and I'll give you a little bit of background and explain what you're going to be listening to. So a few years ago, my mom was cleaning out some closets in her house, and she gave me a gigantic box full of my old childhood books, and most of these books were Goosebumps. I was obsessed with Goosebumps in the 90s. I started reading them from the very first one, and, you know, like all little boys, I was obsessed with monsters and ghosts and spooky shit and all that kind of stuff. So Goosebumps was right up my alley. I couldn't get enough of it. And I had basically every single one of them up through book like 42 or something like that. But I didn't miss a single copy. And so I had this box full of books, and I posted a picture of it online. And one of my friends said, you should read that on the podcast. The podcast was This Is 65, the podcast, and it was a show that I used to host with my wife, Becca, and my friend, Chris. And the three of us would do improv sketch comedy, have kind of free-form conversation, and we were looking for reoccurring segments that we could do on the show. So I thought, that could be one. We could read Goosebumps. So we started reading Goosebumps. We started with the very first one, Welcome to Dead House, and at the end of every episode, we would take about a half hour and read a couple of chapters of Goosebumps. We would make up, voices for each character. We would do crazy sound effects. We would ad-lib a lot of inappropriate stuff because we're sarcastically reading these children's books, and they're books for children, and sometimes they're a little boring and a little redundant, so we get restless and we put in a lot of, cursing, inappropriate jokes, all that kind of stuff. At one point, we came back from vacation with a whoopee cushion, and we started using the whoopee cushion for sound effects, and that's a really fun time in the show's history. Eventually, we kind of ran out of things to talk about, and This Is 65, the podcast, sort of petered out. We decided to end it. And out of This Is 65, the podcast, I made 2 new shows to continue doing the things that I really liked doing on that show. One of them is called The Sketchy Show, where we're going to continue doing improv sketch comedy, and you can look that up and listen to it. And the other one is this, Below Grade Level, where we are going to read children's books. And so to start things off, I wanted to basically recap everything that we read on our old podcast, but repackage it here for your listening pleasure. If you are brand new to this, then you probably want to start at the beginning and catch up with all the fun that we've had reading these books. And if you've listened to us before doing this, then this might have been your favorite part of the show anyway, as I had heard from some people. So you might enjoy recapturing that magic, listening to us just kind of make fun of all these kids' books. So this first batch of episodes is going to be going back through the books that we read, starting with the very first Goosebumps book, Welcome to Dead House. This episode and the next 2 will be parts 1, 2, and 3 of us reading Welcome to Dead House. I'm going to do my best to just give you a little bit of an intro each episode, let you know kind of the various guests that we had on in the various locations, because as you'll hear, it kind of goes all over the place. Most of the time we would record in our apartment, and but sometimes we were outside, sometimes we were on vacation doing all sorts of different stuff. In this episode, we are reading chapters 1 through 6 of Goosebumps number 1, Welcome to Dead House. And my guests on this episode are Chris Zaleski, Mark Vowles, and Jimmy and Liz Reed. Enjoy.
Oh, man.
All right.
Dude.
Welcome to Dead House.
I don't know if I can handle this.
Goosebumps 01.
What the fuck, man?
Chapter 1.
I did not sign on for this.
Josh and I hated our new house. Sure, it was big. It looked like a mansion compared to our old house. It was a tall red brick house with a sloping black roof and rows of windows framed by black shutters. It's so dark, I thought, studying it from the street. The whole house was covered in darkness, as if it were hiding in the shadows of the gnarled old trees that bent over it.
Kids don't know the word gnarled.
I know. It was the middle of July, but dead brown leaves blanketed the front yard. Our crunched over them as we trudged up the gravel driveway. Tall weeds poked up everywhere through the dead leaves. Thick clumps of weeds had completely overgrown an old flower bed beside the front porch.
You said leaves too many times.
This house is creepy, I thought unhappily. Wait. Josh? Who am I? Josh and I. Josh must have been thinking the same thing. Looking up the old house, we both groaned loudly. Mr. Dawes, the friendly young man from the local real estate office, stopped near the front yard and turned around.
Those sound effects are a bit much. Now there's chains.
Everything okay? He asked, staring first at Josh, then at me with his crinkly blue eyes. Josh and Amanda aren't happy about moving.
What does that even mean?
Dad explained, tucking his shirt tail in. Dad is a little overweight, and his shirts always seem to be coming untucked. Dad is Dan Harmon. It's hard. It's hard for kids, my mother added, smiling at Mr. Dawes, her hand shoved into her jeans pockets as she continued up the front door. You know, leaving all their friends behind, moving to a strange new place. Strange is right, Josh said, shaking his head. This house is gross. Mr. Dawes chuckled. It's an old house, that's for sure, he said, patting Josh on the shoulder. Ugh.
Wow, creepy old guy.
It just needs some work, Josh, Dad said, smiling at Mr. Dawes.
His writing needs some work.
No one has lived in it for a while, so it'll take some fixing up. Look how big it is, Mom added, smoothing back her straight black hair and smiling at Josh. Why does the daughter need to explain that much about her mom?
I don't know.
That's creepy. We'll have a room for a den and maybe a rec room, too. You'd like that, wouldn't you, Amanda? I shrugged. A cold breeze made me shiver.
So now we know her name's Amanda.
It was actually a beautiful, hot summer day, but the closer we got to the house, the colder I felt. Ooh, spooky. I guessed it was just because of all the old, tall trees.
And the screaming.
And the chains.
That was one of them chain houses.
I was wearing white tennis shorts and a sleeveless blue t-shirt. All right, now I'm starting to think R.L. Stine
isn't the best writer in the world.
Not only is not the best writer in the world, but also, I don't know.
A pedophile?
Yeah. It had been hot in the car. Ugh. But now I
have bad fashion sense. I mean, sleeveless? Come on.
But now I was freezing. Maybe it'll be warmer in the house, I thought. How old are they? Mr. Dawes asked Mom, stepping on the front porch. Okay, definitely a pedophile.
Okay.
Definitely a pedophile.
I'm gonna redo how old are they. Mr. Dawes is the guy selling them the house, right?
Yeah. Well, though it says he's young, but he's got crinkly blue eyes.
Oh well, I'm gonna read it like he's crinkly.
Okay.
So, how old are they? Mr. Dawes asked Mom, stepping onto the front porch. Amanda is 12, Mom answered, and Josh turned 11 last month. They don't look so much alike, Mr. Dawes told Mom. I couldn't decide if that was a compliment or not. I guess it's true. Josh and I are both tall and thin and have curly brown hair like Dad's and dark brown eyes. Everyone says we have serious faces. I really want to go home, Josh said, his voice cracking. I hate this place.
I hate it.
My brother is the most impatient kid in the world, and when he makes up his mind about something, that's it. Is that like foreshadowing?
Watch out.
He's a little spoiled. At least I think so. And what is your opinion about it? You're a child.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Whenever he makes a big fuss about something, he usually gets his way.
God, you hate your brother, you bitch. This girl's a bitch.
We may look alike, but we're really not that similar. I'm a lot more patient than Josh is. Oh yeah, no, you just told us how impatient he was. Ugh. This is so bad.
She's
a lot more sensible.
Oh my God.
Probably because I'm older and because I'm a girl.
Fucking get out of your own ass, Amanda.
Josh had hold of Dad's hand and was trying to pull him back to the car. Let's go.
Yeah, good
Come
luck with
on,
that.
Dad. Let's go.
Come on, Dad.
I knew this was one time Josh wouldn't get his way. We were moving
Yeah,
to this house.
probably because your parents already decided to buy a house, you idiot.
No doubt about it. After all, the house was absolutely free.
What?
Hold on. No. It's about to get
What?
better. It's about to- A great uncle of Dad's, a man we didn't even know, had died and left the house to
Oh my
Dad
God.
his will.
This is my daydreams. This is what happens when I daydream.
Write it down. You can become a successful children's spooky author. I'll never forget the look on Dad's face when he got the letter from the lawyer. He
my
let out a
God.
loud whoop and began dancing around the living room. Josh and I thought he'd flipped or something. You said he was Dan Harmon, right?
Yeah.
My great uncle Charles has left us a house in his will.
Is the house only free if you spend a night in it?
I don't know. Hold on. No. Oh my God, this gets so good. Okay. My great uncle Charles left us a house in his will, Dad explained, reading and rereading the letter. It's in a town called Dark Falls.
Dark Falls! Is it made of waterfalls of darkness? Watch
It's
out
like-
for the Dark Falls.
It's like, why is this? How would this possibly be a good idea?
Dark Falls? Who fucking
Oh no,
would
no! It's a
live?
suburb of Spookyton.
Wait, really?
No.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past R.L. Stine.
Huh? Josh and I cried. Where's Dark Falls? Dad shrugged. I don't remember your Uncle Charles, Mom said, moving behind Dad to read the letter over his shoulder. Neither do I, admitted Dad. But he must have been a great guy. Wow. This sounds like an incredible house. He grabbed Mom's hands and began dancing happily with her across the living room.
These parents have money
You know what?
problems.
Fuck Roald Dahl for insinuating that whenever anyone is happy about anything, they
They dance. These parents definitely have money problems.
Yeah.
If they're that excited about a
shitty are they
free
as
house that they're
people?
not gonna look into
All right.
it legally. All right.
I lost my. Oh
They're
no.
dancing, they're
This
dancing.
explains it. This explains why they're poor. Okay. Dad sure was excited. He'd been looking for an excuse to quit his boring office job and
God.
devote all of his time to his writing career.
Oh my God.
This house, absolutely free, would be just the excuse he needed. And now, a week later, here we were in Dark Falls, a 4-hour drive from our home, seeing our new house for the first time. We hadn't even gone inside, and Josh was trying to drag Dad back to the car. Josh, stop pulling me, he snapped impatiently, trying to tug his hand out of Josh's grasp. Dad glanced helplessly at Mr. Dawes. I could see that he was embarrassed by how Josh was carrying on. I decided maybe I could help. Let go, Josh, I said quietly,
Quit being a
grabbing
dick.
Josh by the shoulder. We'd promised we'd give Dark Falls a chance, remember?
We promised we'd give it a chance.
I already gave it a chance, Josh whined, not letting go of Dad's hand.
I mean, I know it's full of scarecrows and mummies, but come on, give it a chance, Josh.
This house is old and ugly, and I hate it. You haven't even gone inside, Dad said angrily.
Are you still
Yes.
on the second page?
This is, yeah.
Oh,
Or it's
Jesus
3?
Christ.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Did you scroll down?
Yeah.
Oh.
It says 3 there at the thing.
Here, I'll start reading.
Okay.
We'll switch off page by page.
You haven't even gone inside. Yes, let's go in. Mr. Dawes urged, staring at Josh.
Ugh, gross.
Let's go in. Nothing bad will happen in there.
Let's go in. Don't mind that.
I'm
it's
staying
just my
outside.
erection.
I'm staying outside, Josh insisted.
Spooky erection.
These are giant pages.
Oh my God, how long is this chapter? Okay, all right. What page am I
The
on?
War and Peace of children's novels.
Wait. Oh, you were just reading page 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go. Page 3. Stay outside, Josh insisted. He can really be stubborn sometimes. I felt just as unhappy as Josh looking at this dark old house, but I'd never carry on the way Josh
I'm
was.
totally feeling the smarmy young girl coming from
Oh,
you.
Jesus, what a bitch. Josh, don't you want to pick out your own room? Mom asked. No, Josh wait. No! Josh muttered. I'm casting these people. We got to do impressions. he and I, Josh is the pimply face kid from The Simpsons. I don't know who Amanda is yet. He and I both glanced up at the second floor. There were 2 large bay windows side by side up there. They looked like 2 dark eyes staring back at us, kind of like the Amityville Horror, right, R.L. Stine? How long have you lived in your present Oh, wait. How long have you lived in your present house? Mr. Dawes asked Dad. Dad had to think for a second. About 14 years, he answered. The kids... Because we were doing Dan Harmon.
That stutters like crazy.
I played part of that for Rebecca the other day, and she was like, "What impression is he doing?" I'm like, "That's not an impression. That's just the way that Dan Harmon talks." Did you hear him scream about Justin Bieber?
Oh my god, that was the best.
Funniest. That's
so. He also does a great iced tea.
Oh my god, I know.
It's not business. It's personal.
All right,
it's not personal. It's business.
Going back.
One of those characters is going to be iced tea.
Dad had to think about it for a second. About 14 years, he answered. The kids have lived there their whole lives. Moving is always hard, Mr. Dawes said sympathetically. I gotta do it sympathetically. Moving is always hard, Mr. Dawes said sympathetically, gracefully caressing the front of his pants, turning his gaze on me. You know, Amanda, I moved here to Dark Falls just a few months ago. I didn't like it much either at first, but now I wouldn't live anywhere else.
The state made me go and knock on everyone's doors.
I sound like Will Forte. He winked at me. Ugh. He had a cute...
This guy's ready.
He had a cute dimple in his chin when he smiled. We're doing the wrong voice for this guy.
Yeah, I know. He's supposed to be a younger guy, but
it's better. Let's go inside. It's really quite nice. You'll be surprised. all of us followed Mr. Dawes, except Josh.
Wow, Josh is like a dweeb.
Are there other kids on this block? Josh demanded. He made it sound more like a challenge than a question. Hang on, I gotta do that again then. God, stop telling me how he's saying it after he says it.
Yeah,
R.L. Stine.
Poor writing.
Are there other kids on this block? Josh demanded. He made it sound like more like a challenge than a question. Mr. Dawes nodded. The school's just 2 blocks away, he said, pointing up the street. See, Mom.
I'm not allowed there.
Mom quickly cut in. A short walk to school. No more long bus rides every morning. I liked the bus, Josh insisted. His mind was made up. He wasn't going to give my parents a break, even though we'd both promised to be open-minded about the move. I don't know what Josh...
He wasn't planned. He was a mistake.
You could tell.
If I wasn't born before him, I'd think he was adopted.
I don't know what Josh thought he had to gain by being such a pain. Rhyming. Also, you're a bitch. I mean, Dad had already plenty to worry about. For one thing, he hadn't been able to sell our old house yet. I didn't like the idea of moving, but I knew that inheriting this big house was a great opportunity for us. I'm gonna read sarcastically.
This feels like it's been going on forever.
I know. We're definitely only doing one chapter an episode.
How long are these chapters?
It's like one more page, I think.
All right.
We were so cramped in our little house, and once Dad managed to sell the old place, we wouldn't have to worry about all that money anymore. Josh should at least give it a chance, that's what I thought. Suddenly, from our car at the foot of the driveway, we heard Petey barking and howling and making a fuss. Petey is our dog, a white curly-haired terrier, cute as a button, and usually well-behaved. He never minded being left in the car, but now he was yowling and yapping at full volume and scratching at the car window.
Dogs
desperate to get out.
Dogs have a sense of these things.
Petey! Oh yeah, I got a shot. Petey! Quiet! Quiet! I shouted. Petey usually listened to me, but not this time. I'm going to let him out. I'm going to let him out, Josh declared and took off down the driveway toward the car. No, wait! Dad called, but I don't think Josh could hear him over Petey's wails. Might as well let the dog explore. Mr. Dawes said. It's going to be his house, too. All right. There you go.
All right.
How much is left?
I don't know. Check before we continue.
2 pages.
All right. We can do this.
2 more pages.
We can do this.
I mean, I'm having fun.
Yeah, no. This is hilarious to us.
It's got to be better than Brandon, right?
Yeah, it has to be. A few seconds later, Petey came charging across the lawn, kicking up brown leaves, yipping excitedly as he ran up to us. He jumped on all of us as if he hadn't seen us in weeks, and then, to our surprise, he started growling menacingly and barking at Mr. Dawes. Petey, stop! Mom yelled. He's never done this, Dad said apologetically. Really, he's usually very friendly. He probably smelled something on me. Another dog, maybe. Definitely not a kid. Mr. Dawes said, loosening his striped tie, looking warily at our growling dog. Finally, Josh grabbed Petey around the middle and lifted him away from Mr. Dawes. Stop it, Petey! Josh scolded, holding the dog up close to his face so that they were nose to nose. Mr. Dawes is our friend! Petey whimpered and licked Josh's face. After a short while, Josh set him back down. So licked it for a short while. Josh set him back down on the ground. So Petey looked up at Mr. Dawes, then at me, then decided to go sniffing around the yard, letting his nose lead the way.
Shit.
Realistically.
I mean, yeah, the first thing he's going to do is take a big dump.
Hold on. Then decided to go sniffing around the yard, letting his nose lead the way.
Aww.
That's fucking poetic.
What a cute little fucking dog.
Let's go inside, Mr. Dawes urged. Moving a hand through his short blonde hair, he
And
unlocked the front door and pushed it open with his crotch.
With his throbbing erection.
Mr. Dawes held the screen door open for us. I started to follow my parents into the house.
Spooky
I'll
boner.
stay out here with Petey, Josh insisted from the walk. Dad started to protest but changed his mind. Okay, fine, he said, sighing and shaking his head. I'm not going to argue with you. Just don't come in. You can live outside if you want. He sounded really exasperated.
Oh my god. I know there's no way Dan Harmon's going to listen to our podcast, but I really wish he would.
I want to stay with Petey, Josh said again, watching Petey nose his way through the dead flower bed. A dead flower bed.
Ugh. Dead flowers are the worst.
Mr. Dawes followed us into the hallway, gently closing the screen door behind him, giving Josh a final glance.
Ew.
He'll be fine, he said softly, smiling at Mom. He can be so stubborn sometimes, Mom said apologetically. He was a mistake.
What, Josh?
She peeked into the living room. I'm
okay.
adding
Oh
things.
my god. Oh my god, I thought that was in the book.
She peeked into the living room. I'm really sorry about Petey. He was a mistake too.
What if
I don't know what got into
was
that
like
dog.
Peppered with that.
Oh, it'd be the greatest thing ever.
No kid would get it.
I'd regret never reading these as a kid.
Holy shit, I would be so happy. Anyway.
No problem. Let's start in the living room, Mr. Dawes said, leading the way. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how spacious it is. Of course, it needs work. He took us on a tour of every room in the house. I was beginning to get excited. The house was really kind of neat. There were so many rooms and so many closets, and my room was huge and had its own bathroom and an old-fashioned window seat where I could sit at the window and look down at the street.
Just like all
and
girls.
that rhymed.
All girls in the 90s, right?
So whatever.
They want to sit in a window and read. They want to read their spooky books.
Listen to
their
the cadence of this.
Clubs. Yeah.
There were so many rooms and so many closets, and my room was huge and had its own bathroom and an old-fashioned window seat where I could sit at the window and look down at the street.
You're terrible.
Window was said too many times. The rhyming is
writer.
completely unnecessary.
Harold
Okay.
Stine.
I wish Josh had come inside with us. If he could see how great the house was inside, I knew he'd start to cheer up. I couldn't believe how many rooms there were. You already said there's a lot of rooms. Even a finished attic filled with old furniture and stacks of old, mysterious cartons we could explore.
Cartons?
I have no idea.
What?
It's definitely foreshadowing.
Cartons?
We must have been inside for at least
milk?
half an hour. I didn't really keep track of the time. I think all three of us were feeling cheered up. Well, I think I've shown you everything, Mr. Dawes said, glancing at his crotch. Sorry, watch. Glancing at his watch, he led the way to the front door. Wait, I want to take one more look. Oh no, this is a different voice. Wait, I want to take one more look at my room, I told them excitedly. I started up the stairs, taking them two at a time. I'll be down in a second. This is getting good. This is getting good.
And the music is
Music's
perfect.
picking up.
Yeah.
It's shit's gonna go down, people.
Hey, wait.
I left it on the page I just read. Once we
Hurry,
get
dear.
that rhythm down.
I'm sure Mr. Dawes has other appointments, Mom called after me. I reached the second floor landing and hurried down the narrow hallway and into my new room. Wow! I said aloud, and the word echoed faintly against the empty walls. It was so big, and I loved the bay window with the window seat. I walked over to peered out through the trees. I could see our car in the driveway, and beyond it, a house that looked a lot like ours across the street. What? I'm gonna put my bed against the wall across from the window, I thought happily, and my desk can go over there. I'll have room for a computer now, because it's the 90s.
Vampires will totally be able to watch you sleep.
I took one more look at my closet. A long walk-in closet with a light in the ceiling and wide shelves against the back wall. I was heading to the door, thinking about which of my posters...
How did she know they were called wine shelves?
No, wide shelves.
Oh.
Why would there be wine shelves in
I
her
don't know.
little girl's
this
closet?
This is Dead House, man. Shit happens here.
I was headed to the door thinking about which of my posters I wanted to bring with me when I saw the boy. He stood in the doorway just for a second, and then he turned and disappeared down the hall. "Josh!" I cried. "Hey, come look!" With a shock, I realized it wasn't Josh. For one thing, the boy had blonde hair. "Hey!" I called, and as we know, they have curly brown hair.
Yeah.
Just like their dad.
No, that was explicitly
Like their
stated
dad.
earlier.
Just like their dad.
Just like their dad, Dan Harmon.
I called and ran down the hallway, stopping just outside my bedroom door and looking both ways. "Who's here?" But the long hall was empty. All of the doors were closed. "Whoa, Amanda," I said aloud. Was I seeing things? Whoa, Amanda.
Have you ever addressed yourself out loud?
Never.
It's always been...
Whoa, Jonathan.
It's always been subconscious narration.
Whoa. Usually if I see something like a ghost that I think I'm seeing a ghost, I'm thinking, fuck. Was I seeing things? Mom and Dad were calling from downstairs. I took one last look around the dark corridor, then hurried to rejoin them. "Hey, Mr. Dawes," I called as I ran down the stairs. "Is this house haunted?" He chuckled. The question seemed to strike him funny. "No, sorry," he said, looking at me with those crinkly blue eyes.
What does crinkly blue eyes mean?
"No ghost included. A lot of old houses around here are said to be haunted, but I'm afraid this isn't one of them."
Wait, isn't Mr. Dawes blonde?
Oh, he is.
Oh,
Fuck,
man.
Chris.
I bet he's in on it.
I thought I saw something, I said, feeling a little foolish. "Probably just shadows," Mom said. "With all the trees, this house is so dark."
Shadows with light hair.
Why don't you run around outside and tell Josh about the house? Dad suggested, tucking in the front of his shirt. "Your mom and I have some things to talk about over with Mr. Dawes." "Yes, master," I said with a little bow, like a bitch, and obediently ran
What
out to
an
tell
ungrateful little
Josh
shit.
about what he had missed. "Hey, Josh," I called eagerly, searching the yard. "Josh?" My heart sank. Josh and Petey were gone.
Josh! Josh! Every time that wolf howls.
Is that Amanda?
Every time that wolf howls.
This is you
Yeah.
have to be...
Amanda's the narrator.
Amanda's the narrator. She's bitchy.
So,
Chapter 2.
Josh! Josh! First I called Josh. Then I called Petey, which is the dog if you weren't paying attention.
Petey's the dog.
But there was no sign of either of them. I ran down to the bottom of the driveway and peered into the car, but they weren't there. Mom and Dad were still inside talking with Mr. Dawes, who we established as a pedophile.
Yeah, he's a realtor. He's like 24, but we're reading him as an old man.
Yeah, okay. I looked along the street in both directions, but there was no sign of them. Also, in the last chapter, she was looking down from inside of the house. Her parents were supposed to be outside of the house.
Now it's the other way around?
Yeah.
Bad writing, R.L. Stine.
Yeah, no.
Bad writing.
Okay, so...
Terrible
We're
continuity.
not mad. We're just disappointed.
No sign of them. Josh! Hey! Josh! Finally, Mom and Dad came hurrying out the front door, looking alarmed. I guess they heard my shouts. "I can't find Josh or Petey," I yelled up to them from the street. Maybe they're around back," Dad shouted down to me. I headed up the driveway, kicking away dead leaves as I ran. It was sunny down on the street, but as soon as I entered our yard, I was back in the shade, and it was immediately cool again. "Hey, Josh! Josh, where are you?"
Next page.
Why did I feel so scared? It was perfectly natural for Josh to wander off. He did it all the time. I ran full speed along the side of the house. Tall trees leaned over the house on the side, blocking out nearly all the sunlight. The backyard was bigger than I expected, a long rectangle that sloped gradually down to a wooden fence at the back. Just like the front, this yard was a mass of tall weeds, poking up through a thick covering of brown leaves. A stone bird bath had toppled on its side. Beyond it, I could see that the side of the garage, a dark brick building that matched the house. "Hey, Josh!" He wasn't back there. I stopped and I searched the ground for footprints or a sign that he had run through the thick leaves. Was she a tracker?
Obviously.
Very much.
Well, out of breath, Dad came jogging up to me. No sign of him, I said, surprised at how worried I felt. You bitch. You hate your brother. Did you check the car? He sounded more angry than worried. Yes, it's the first place I looked. I gave the backyard a last quick search. I don't believe Josh would just take off. I do, Dad said, rolling his eyes.
Oh, classic Josh.
Yeah.
What about Petey?
You know your brother, where he doesn't get his way.
Oh, excuse me.
Maybe he... maybe he wants us to think he's run away from home. He frowned.
Where is he? Mom asked as we returned to the front of the house. Dad and I both shrugged. Maybe he made a friend and wandered off, Dad said. He raised a hand and scratched his curly brown hair. I could tell that he was starting to worry too.
Their dad's fat, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
We've got to find him, Mom said, gazing down to the street.
Wait, can you read the mom like your mom?
He doesn't know this neighborhood at all, and he probably wandered off and got lost.
I like him.
He's a nice boy.
He's a good end.
Mr. Dawes locked the front door and stepped down off the porch, pocketing the keys. He couldn't have gotten far, he said, giving Mom a reassuring smile. Let's drive around the block. I'm sure we'll find him. Mom shook her head and glanced nervously at Dad. I'll kill him, she muttered. That is dark.
Damn,
What,
foreshadowing.
she'll kill Mr. Dawes?
Foreshadow? No, she'll kill her son.
Oh.
Dad patted her on the shoulder. Mr. Dawes opened the trunk of the small Honda, pulled off his dark blazer, and tossed it inside.
Honda. Honda.
Shut up!
Oh, sorry.
suck.
Sorry.
I don't even want to do this. This is just like, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. All right, Mr. Dawes opened the trunk of the small Honda, pulled off his dark blazer, and tossed it inside. Then he took out a wide-brimmed black cowboy hat and put it on his head.
This is my fucking hat. We're gonna find that boy.
Hey,
Partner.
Hey, that's quite a hat, Dad said, climbing into the front passenger seat.
Where do you get a hat like that?
Keeps the sun away, Mr. Dawes said,
At the
sliding
Dark
behind the
Falls
wheel
hat
and slamming
store.
the car down, or slamming the car door. Well, how are they talking about his hat? Their kid's missing. Where's my son? Hey, that's quite a stylish hat you got there, sir.
Like, he's a terrible writer.
Mom and I got back in.
You know, R.L. Stine's like sitting there
Got
writing
it
it,
back.
and he's looking around.
This
He's
is a
like,
good
"What else can
hat.
I do? What else can I do?" And he looks over and he sees his old
That's
cowboy hat. He's like, "Oh yeah, Mr.
great
Dust
hat.
puts on a black cowboy hat."
Hey,
It's gonna
that's
blow their
quite a
fucking
hat.
I like to think
minds."
his mole's whispering to him, like, write more about the hat.
His mole sounds like a
Mom and I got
mole sounds like Peter Lorre.
Mom and
Right about the
Mom and I,
hat.
Mom and Mom and I got him back. Glancing over at her, I saw that Mom was worried, as I was. We headed down the block in silence, all four of us staring out the car windows. The houses we passed all seemed old. Most of them were even bigger than our house. All of them seemed to be in better condition, nicely painted with neat, well-trimmed lawns.
I don't see any people in the houses or yards, and there was no one on the street. Certainly, this is a quiet neighborhood, I thought, and shady. The houses...
Don't bend the spine. It's a fragile
hurt my
antique.
soul.
You're a terrible
Antique.
person, JK.
It's a vintage Goosebumps.
It's a first edition.
Well, no, it's just any book. When people bend the spine, I'm just like, what are you doing?
I get all my book advice from pretentious Mark, who gives me hardbacks. I
he
can't
bends
do
these
it.
spines too.
I only read hardbacks.
He only reads on his Kindle Fire.
I only read cuneiform that's been hammered into marble.
Beautiful.
Sorry, go on.
The houses all seemed to be surrounded by tall, leafy trees. The front yards we drove slowly past all seemed to be bathed in shade.
I slowly drove past.
Yeah, no.
No urgency. No urgency.
Take it
You're
easy.
gonna
Take
hear
it
a lot of
easy.
repeated words.
The street
Yeah,
was
it's
the
like-
only sunny place.
This window had a window in a window.
And
Lin-
then,
You
No.
could look through.
Fucking worst writer.
If you'd listened to the last episode, you'd understand.
the street was the only sunny place. A narrow gold ribbon that ran through the shadows on
How
both sides.
poetic.
You know, maybe that's why it's called Dark Falls.
Maybe
because there's no sunlight in
Because
it.
the streets are golden ribbons.
maybe that was why it's called Dark Falls, I thought.
Wait,
I get
which
it. You
one
just
happened
read the
first?
line.
Ah, he's not smart. All right.
Why didn't I?
No, you're fine.
I'm really quite.
Fine. Shut up.
Where is that son of mine? Dad asked, staring out the windshield. I'll kill him. Excuse me. I'll kill him. I really will, muttered Mom.
She really seems set on killing her son.
It wasn't the first time she had said that about Josh.
This book took a dark turn.
Literally the previous page.
This wasn't the first time she said that about Josh, and this wasn't the first Josh. She's killed like 5 of them.
We're on like the 6th.
She puts him in the
Josh.
trunk of the Honda.
Yeah. That's why
That's
we had
not
to
written
move.
in the book, Jake. You
It
don't
makes
make
them wear
things up.
cowboy hats.
No, make him up.
I was gonna say.
We kept talking about Mr. Dawes' erection last time.
We had gone around the block twice, no sign of him. Mr. Dawes suggested we drive around the next few blocks, and Dad quickly agreed, but not too quickly. Hope I don't get lost. I'm new here too, Mr. Dawes said, turning a corner. He's the real estate agent.
Excuse me.
Yeah, wouldn't he know his way around? Hope I don't get lost. You're shitty at your job.
And
Wait, he's a real estate agent?
Yeah. No,
He's trying to sell the. He's showing them the house.
Mark, I'm 100% sure he's a ghost.
Wait,
Okay.
See,
won't know till
because
later.
in the last chapter, she saw a little blonde boy in the house, and like he made a point to point out that Mr. Dawes has blonde hair.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh.
100% sure he's a ghost.
So
Who can drive a car?
Listeners, you're unraveling the mystery with us.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, he's driving a car. A ghost can't. He's not. No.
It could be a
You don't
poltergeist.
know. It could be a ghost car.
Poltergeist can manipulate objects, Mark.
Ghost
I mean,
car.
it's like you never read the Bible.
Maybe the hat gives him the power to keep reading.
And the Honda.
hey, look, there's a school. I'm not supposed to be near a school, he announced to the crowd.
Oh my God!
JK's got the hang of it.
JK, you're gonna go
Does that
every
actually say
episode.
that?
Yeah, pointing out that the window at the tall red brick building. It looked very old-fashioned, with white columns on both sides of the double front doors. Of course, it's closed now. That's not good for me, Mr. Dawes added.
Ever since I killed all the children.
My eyes searched the fenced-in playground behind the school. It was empty. No one was there. Only a small portrait of a picture saying, "Have you seen this man with wearing a cowboy hat?"
Portrait of a picture.
That's not in there.
All right. So where did the okay.
First line.
Okay.
This is a little scary.
My
I
eyes
know,
searched
I
the
know.
fenced-in playground behind the school. It was empty. No one there. Could Josh have walked this far? Mom asked, her voice tight and higher than usual. Wow, that made sense when I read there.
Yeah. Good read.
Josh doesn't walk. He runs, Dad said, rolling his eyes.
God, they hate their
Why do they hate
son.
Josh so
They
much?
hate him. They didn't hate him this much the first chapter. I'm telling you.
He's the third Josh, though. They hate this Josh.
Yeah.
We'll find him, Mr. Dawes said confidently, tapping his fingers on the wheel as he steered.
Tippity tap.
We turned a corner onto another shady block. A street sign read Cemetery Drive.
Uh-oh.
And sure enough, a large cemetery rose up in front of us.
No shit.
Granite gravestones rolled along a low hill, which sloped down and then up again onto a large flat stretch, also
graveyard
marked with
expert.
rows of low grave markers and monuments. A few shrubs dotted the cemetery, but there weren't many trees, as if that mattered. As we drove slowly past the gravestones, passing by in a blur on the left, I realized that this was the sunniest spot I had seen in the whole town.
She's really obsessed with trees and sun.
And
All right,
gold
oh no.
ribbons.
Shit's
of
getting
light.
good. Shit's getting good, guys.
Uh-oh.
There's your son. Mr. Dawes, pointing out the window, stopped the car suddenly. Screet! Oh, thank goodness, Mom explained, leaning down to see out the window on my
ready to
side
kill
of the
him a
car.
couple seconds ago.
Sure enough, there was Josh, running wildly along a crooked row of low, white gravestones. What's he doing here? I asked, pushing open my car door. I was doing the mom's voice.
Yeah,
it
it's
doesn't matter.
fine.
I stepped down from the car, took a few steps onto the grass, and called to him. At first, he didn't react to my shouts. He seemed to be ducking and... Page turn.
Uh-oh. He seemed to be ducking and dodging through the tombstones. He would run in one direction, then cut to the side, then head in another direction. Why was he doing that? I took another few steps and then stopped, gripped with fear. I suddenly realized why Josh was darting and ducking like that, running so wildly through the tombstones. He was being chased. Someone or something was after him. I
like doing the Scooby-Doo.
Where's the
noise
dog?
after it.
Yeah, where
we
is
don't
the
know.
dog?
We don't know. We don't know where Petey is.
Yeah.
I'm
we
worried
only
about
know,
Petey.
so-
Petey doesn't have a head.
We'll have to find out next time.
Tune in next time, listeners, to This Is 65 Presents Welcome to Dead House,
Goosebumps.
a part of our Goosebumps segment by R.L. Stine, terrible writer.
There's 18 chapters. It's going to take us forever
Let's
to get
just
through
do the
this
next
fucking book.
chapter.
You want to do the next chapter?
Let's just
What
do the
time?
next
How
chapter.
long
My
have we been
turn.
recording?
You only got a half.
It's 54, but we also did that sketch.
True. Okay.
All right.
You
All right.
start it. You may start.
Doing the next one.
We're doing 2 chapters, everyone. Buckle the fuck
I want to know
in.
what's chasing him.
Yeah.
All right.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3. Ignore what we just
It's
said about
Petey.
tuning in next
Petey.
time.
We had a really good outro. It's fine.
Then, as I took a few reluctant steps towards Josh, watching him bend low, then changing directions, his arms outstretched as he ran, I realized I had it completely backward. Oh, really? Really? Josh wasn't being chased. Josh was chasing. He was chasing after Petey. Duh. Okay.
Fucking Jip.
This really says that. Okay. So sometimes my imagination runs away with me.
Or I'm a
Running
shitty
through an
writer.
old graveyard like this, even in bright daylight, it's only natural that a person might start to have weird thoughts. I called to Josh again. This time he heard me and he turned around. He looked worried. Amanda, come help me, he cried. Josh, what's the matter? I ran as fast as I could to catch up with him, but he kept
Where are
darting
the
through the
parents?
gravestones, moving from row to row. Help! Josh, what's wrong? I turned and I saw that Mom and Dad were right behind me. It's Petey! Josh exclaimed, out of breath. I can't get him to stop. I caught him once, but he pulled away from me. Petey! Dad started calling the dog, but Petey was moving from stone to stone, sniffing each one, then running to the next. How did you get all the way out here? Dad asked as he was caught up with my brother. I had to follow Petey, Josh explained. Oh, wait, am I reading too much?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. I got really caught up. I got caught up in reading.
For those not paying attention, when me and Jonathan do the voice of the dad, we're totally doing an impression of Dan Harmon.
But if you don't know who Dan Harmon is,
Yeah, I'm not
It's
going
still
to.
funny.
fine.
I didn't say you had
Yeah,
to.
good.
Just read him like
It isn't about you, Mark.
Just read the dad like he's a fat, angry dick.
That's
Who
what I'm
stutters.
Josh stopped and gratefully let Dad take over the chase. Okay, I got it. Josh stopped and gratefully let Dad take over the chase. I don't know what the dumb dog's problem is, he said to me. He's just weird. It took Dad a few tries, but he finally managed to grab Petey and kick him up off the ground.
Jesus.
What the hell? Our little terrier gave a half-hearted yelp of protest.
No shit. Your
Then
dad
allowed
kicked
himself to
him.
be carried away.
God damn.
Wow.
We all trooped back to the
Kinda
car
feel
on the
bad
side of
saying
the
he's Dan
road.
Harmon now.
Did he like grab the leash and then kick the dog so that it like swung up like a
the
pendulum?
cool thing about like books and
swung it
literature is
around.
that you can use your imagination.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially if you're a shitty writer.
That's how I choose to believe that it happened.
Reading Rainbow. We all trooped back to the car on the side of the road. Mr. Dawes was waiting by the car. Maybe you'd better get a leash for that dog, he said, looking very concerned. Petey's never been on a leash, Joshua protested. Nobody puts Petey in a corner. Wearily climbing into the back seat.
We are making this book
So
better.
many people are like, I don't remember that video.
Well, we might have to try one for a while, Dad said quietly. Oh. Well, we might have to try one for a while, Dad said extremely loudly, especially if he keeps running away. Dad tossed Petey into the back seat. The dog eagerly curled up in Josh's arms. The rest of us piled into the car, and Mr. Dawes drove us back into his office. He drove into his office, a tiny white flat roof building at the end of a row of small offices. As we rode, I reached over.
Well, we're here.
As we rode, I reached over and stroked the back of Mr. Dawes' head. It was Petey's head. Why did the dog...
Amanda, is that you?
Why did the dog run away like that? I wondered. Petey had never done that before. She just... Brr. This is painful.
Yeah, I know.
I guess that Petey was also upset about our moving. After all, Petey, if I say Petey one more time. Petey, Petey, Petey had spent his whole life in our old house.
Petey.
He probably felt a lot like Josh and I
Harry
did
Carey.
about having to pack up and move and never see the old neighborhood again. The new house, the new streets, and all the new smells must have freaked the poor dog out. What was that? Oh, that was. This is just a
Chris, you scared me.
thrill.
So into it, I startled him.
Josh wanted to run away from the whole idea, and so did Petey. Anyway, that was my theory.
Mr. Dawes parked the car in front of his tiny office. Dad shook his hand and gave him a nice stroke on the back.
Ew.
And gave him
slap on the ass.
his
Maybe we've
business
been wrong
card.
about Mr. Dawes.
Dad gripped his erection tightly.
You can come by and see me next week, he told Mom and Dad.
Yeah, he did.
I'll have all the legal paperwork done by then, and we can go out to a nice dinner after you sign the papers. You can move in anytime you like. He pushed open the car door, giving us all a final, creepy smile, prepared to climb out. Compton Dawes, Miss Mom said,
What? Oh.
reading the white business card over Dad's shoulder.
Well, now we know his first name. That's definitely an old-timey first
Compton.
name.
That's an
He
unusual
definitely
name.
died in the 1800s.
Is Compton an old family name, or is it something deeper? Could he be a child molester?
ghost's name.
All right.
This is a scary book.
That's an unusual name. Is Compton an old family name? I don't remember who was talking last.
I like Compton.
I think it was
Mr. Dawes shook his head. No, he said. I'm the only Compton in my family. I have no idea where the name comes from. No idea at all. Maybe my parents didn't know how to spell Charlie.
Did he say that? Is that in the book?
That's in the book.
Maybe my parents didn't know how to spell Charlie.
Chuckling at his terrible joke, he climbed out of the car, lowered the wide black Stetson hat on his head, pulled his blazer from the trunk, and disappeared into the small white building. Dad climbed behind the wheel, moving the seat back to make room for his big stomach. Mom got up front, and we started the long drive home. I guess you and Petey had quite an adventure today, Mom said to Josh. I totally wasn't going to kill you, rolling up her window, because Dad had turned on the air conditioner.
Who cares?
Yeah. I guess.
All in the details, Mark.
I guess, Josh said without enthusiasm. Petey was sound asleep in his lap, snoring quietly. You're gonna love your room, I told Josh. The whole house is great, really. Josh stared at me thoughtfully, but didn't answer. I poked him in the ribs with my elbow. Say something. Did you hear what I said?
Ow!
But the weird, thoughtful look didn't fade from Josh's face. The next couple weeks seemed to crawl by. I walked around the house thinking about how I'd never see my room again, how I'd never eat breakfast in the kitchen again, how I'd never watch TV in the living room again.
You know, morbid stuff like that, like a girl thinks. I had that
Probably on a
sick
period.
feeling.
I had that not so fresh feeling.
I started bleeding everywhere.
Oh, Jonathan.
Took it too far. Took it too far.
I became a woman.
Whoa, man. I had the sick feeling when the movers came one afternoon.
Is that where the word
delivered
womb
it.
comes from? Because a woman has a womb.
That's exactly where it comes
That makes
from.
sense. I never
You're
really
so
thought about that
smart.
before. I never thought about that before. Words are neat.
The movers came one afternoon and delivered a tall stack of cartons. Time to pack up. Cartons. Why doesn't she say boxes?
I don't know.
Where is R.L. Stine from that he says cartons instead of boxes?
He's
think
from old
Ohio.
tiny
It
land.
sounds like they
He's
just.
from
It sounds
Canada.
like the only thing they moved was milk.
I
I
bet you
think
he's
he's
from
from
Canada.
Ohio, which is like the land that time forgot.
Time to pack up. It was really happening. Even though it was the middle of the afternoon, I went up to my room and flopped down to my bed. I didn't nap or anything. I just stared at the ceiling for more than an hour. All these
It's called
wild,
depression, Amanda.
unconnected thoughts ran through my head like a dream. Only I was awake. I wasn't the only one who was nervous about the move. Mom and Dad were snapping at each other all over. Nothing at all. One morning they had a big fight over whether the bacon was too crispy or not. I think they're getting a divorce.
I think so too.
What about Petey?
Telltale sign.
In a way, it was funny to see them being so childish. Josh was acting really sullen all the time. He hardly spoke a word to anyone. And Petey sulked too. That dumb dog wouldn't even pick himself up and come over to me when I had table scraps for him. I guess the hardest part about moving was saying goodbye to my friends. Carol and Amy were away at camp, so I had to write them. But Kathy was home, and she was my oldest and best friend, and the hardest to say goodbye to, because we were lesbians.
No one names their kids any of those names.
I know, those aren't real names.
I think some
it's
people
like
were surprised that
Ashton.
Kathy and I stayed such good friends. For
Blair.
one thing, we look so different. I'm tall and thin and dark and pretty, and she's ugly and fair-skinned. With
Unreliable
long blonde
narrator.
hair and a little chubby. Ooh, you're a bitch.
She said that?
Yeah.
What?
This girl's a bitch.
She did say that.
I know.
But we've been friends since preschool and best friends since 4th grade. What?
Despite how chubby that dumb
He
cow
actually
is.
wrote and best friends since 4th grade. I hate him. R.L. Stine, you're a
R.L. says
jerk.
like, I'm gonna write a book for. Why does it sound like George Lucas?
Everyone sounds like
Everyone sounds like George Lucas.
write a book about
I'm gonna write a book for little girls about ghosts.
When she came over the night before the move, we were both terribly awkward because we've never kissed before.
Heavy petting was as far as we've gone.
Kathy,
Do you
you
feel
shouldn't be
weird
so
too?
nervous, I told her. You're not the one who's moving away forever. It's not like you're...
It's not like you're moving to China or something.
She answered,
Do you
chewing
feel
hard
hot
on her
down there
bubble
all of a
gum.
sudden?
Dark Falls is only 4 hours away, Amanda. We'll see each other a lot.
She's
Yeah,
We'll
I
see each other
guess.
a lot,
We'll see each
Amanda.
other a lot.
Oh, shut your chubby
Yeah,
mouth.
I guess, I said, but but the chubby bitch didn't believe it. 4 hours away was as bad as being in China, as far as I was concerned.
And God knows I hate those Chinamen.
And, well, can we have another conversation about the Chinas? Because they're short.
About the China.
About the Chinas.
Several of
This
them.
girl is racist and a bitch.
Italians! I guess we can still talk on the phone. Oh, sorry. I guess we can still talk on the phone, I said glumly. She blew a small green bubble out of her nose, then sucked it back into her mouth.
Wait, is that?
No.
Okay.
She's chewing gum,
I gotta stop questioning because this is too fun. It's too fun. We have fun. We have fun.
She blew a small green bubble, then sucked it back into her mouth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's the way
she
you
said,
do that.
Yes, sir.
she said, pretending to be enthusiastic.
You're lucky, you know, moving out of this grubby neighborhood to a big house.
It's not a crummy neighborhood, I insisted. I don't know why I was defending the neighborhood. I never had before. One of our favorite pastimes was thinking of places
Me
we'd
watching
rather
her
be growing
eat.
up.
School won't be the same without you.
She
so
sighed, curling her legs under her on the chair.
Who's going to slip me the answers to math?
I laughed. Ha ha! I always slipped you the wrong answers.
I'm gonna be so sad when you move away, Rudy.
But it was the thought.
I haven't been paying attention.
But it was the thought that counted, Kathy said as she chomped on a Twinkie. And then she groaned. Ugh. Junior high. Is your new junior high part of the high school or is it part of the elementary school?
It's a big deal.
What is that? Who gives a fuck?
It's important, Jonathan. You don't understand.
Good question, Kathy.
I made a disgusted face.
The hard-hitting facts.
I made a disgusted face.
Because of how fat she was.
I couldn't.
the green bubble
I
on the
couldn't
nose.
decide if the face was because of her stupid question or of how repulsively fat she was.
I reached back and punched Kathy in the mouth.
This book is really heaving up.
Everything's in one building, I think, you fool. It's a small town, remember? There's no separate high school. There's one convenience store and only one grocery store. At least I didn't see one. Bummer, she thought. I'm not coming to visit. I won't be able to get snack food.
I need more than one grocery store. I have a lot of needs, Amanda.
Give me all the ham.
Bummer was right. We chatted for hours and ate snacks until Kathy's mom called and said it was time to come home.
Passed out from exhaustion from eating so much.
Time for her to come home for
We-
third dinner.
Then
Go back to your hobbit hole.
Then we hugged awkwardly. I had made up my mind that I wouldn't cry, but I could feel the big hot tears forming in the corners of my eyes.
Did I actually say big hot tears? Oh my god.
And then,
Why
suddenly,
am I not a successful children's author?
they were running down my cheeks.
Into my pants.
I'm so miserable, I wailed. So miserable.
Start like a problem.
I had planned to be really controlled and mature, but Kathy was my best friend, my lover, after all.
Oh, it's fine when he makes those jokes, but not me.
What else could I do?
Can't help it.
Neither can I, Mark. It's a condition.
We made a promise that no matter what, we would always be together on our birthdays. No matter what. We'd force our parents to make sure that we didn't miss each other's birthdays. Then we hugged again, this one a little bit longer. And Kathy said, "Don't worry, we'll see each other a lot, really." She had tears running down her eyes,
Into her
too.
pants.
It sounds like she knows that they're not going to be seeing.
Sounds like she knows she's gonna die.
Yeah.
Her
Kathy's
friend's gonna,
probably gonna die.
friend,
Probably
yeah.
gonna get thrown out
She
like
Of a
turned.
heart attack.
She
Yeah,
turned and ran out
thrown out
the.
a window of a heart attack.
Thrown out a window of a heart attack by a heart attack.
Hey, those are real.
She turned and ran out the door. The screen door slammed hard behind her. I stood there staring out to the darkness. Petey howled as I heard Kathy yell, "I know it's another woman. Where are my Twinkies?"
How many more pages are in this
wait,
chapter?
you missed. She then something about his toenails and started to lick his hands. Her hands.
Who cares?
Something about Kathy licking her hands.
That was Petey.
Licking the salt off her hand.
Yeah, no, the dog came over and licked the little bitch's hand.
Which one?
Which
the,
little
the
bitch?
one, the
Don't
one,
care.
Doesn't
the
matter.
one narrating, the unreliable narrator. The next morning, moving day, was a rainy Saturday. Not a downpour, no thunder or lightning, but just enough rain and wind to make the long drive slow and unpleasant, like this book. The sky seemed to get darker as we neared the new neighborhood. The heavy trees bent low over the street. "Slow down, Jack," Mom warned shrilly. "The street is really slick." But Dad was in a hurry to get to the house before the moving van did. They'll just put the stuff anywhere if we're not there to supervise, he explained. Josh, beside me in the back seat, wearing his helmet, was being a real pain, as usual. He kept complaining that he was thirsty, probably because of his diabetes. When that didn't get results, like the results for his medical tests, he started whining that he was starving, like kids in Africa. But we had all had a big breakfast, except for him, because he wasn't allowed. So that didn't get any reaction either. He just wanted attention, of course, because he was an attention whore. I kept trying to cheer him up by telling him how great the house was inside and how big his room was, much larger than the closet that he was living in before. He still hadn't seen it.
Don't worry, there's enough ghosts for both of us.
But he didn't want to be cheered up because he was a dick. He started wrestling with Petey, getting the poor dog all worked up, shouting things about red lipstick, until Dad had to shout at him to stop. "Let's all try really hard not to get on each other's nerves," Mom suggested.
Dad laughed. "Good idea, dear."
Bitch.
"Don't make fun of me," she snapped. They started to argue about who was more exhausted from all the packing. Petey stood up on his hind legs and started to howl at the back window. "Can you shut him up?" Mom screamed. "Please!" Amanda! I pulled Petey down, but he struggled back up and started howling again. "He's never done this before," I said. "Just get him quiet," Mom insisted. I pulled Petey down by his hind legs, and Josh started to howl. Because he's a dog. Mom turned around and gave him a dirty look. Josh didn't stop howling, though. He thought he was a riot. Finally, Dad pulled the car up to the driveway of the new house. The tires crunched over the wet gravel. Rain pounded on the roof. "Home, sweet home," Mom said. I couldn't tell if she was being sarcastic or not, or if she was haunted. I think she was really glad that the long car ride was over. At least we beat the movers," Dad said, glancing at his watch.
Then a pterodactyl came and took Petey away.
What the hell is that?
Oh my gosh.
Shut up, Petey!
That's the mom yelling.
That his expression changed.
Hope they're not lost. It's as dark as night out there. It's as dark as night out there, Josh complained. Petey was jumping up and down in my lap, getting me excited, desperate to get out of the car. He was usually a good traveler, but once the car stopped, he wanted out immediately. All right, Mark, take us home.
Oh, man, where are we at?
Top of the page.
Got it.
Where I handed it to you.
Where I was pointing.
the format we've been doing for like the last
Where are
hour.
we at? We're in a book. Use your mind to read the words.
Left to right, man.
Top to bottom.
bottom.
The onto leapt he and door car my opened eye. A in run to start it and splash. A with driveway. Yard front the across zigzag wild. Said Josh, here, be too glad someone's leased at. Quietly. You know what? I'm taking this home. I'm doing this. I'm doing
I
this.
broke his brain. Go for it.
I want to see if I can do
twist
this.
ending though.
We're not going to know how
No,
it ends.
I'm going to read the last 3 sentences regularly.
All right.
The with fumbling and porch, the two upran dad.
Do it like a European accent.
Door front the get to managed keys unfamiliar. The into come to us for mentioned he then open house.
I like these. How do you say? Goosebumps.
Get
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
These bumpy gooses.
get to eager walk the cross the ran Josh and mom.
Huh?
These are Ellis Stine.
Me behind door.
writer.
Me behind door car. The closed eye rain. The about in. There's a lot of never mind.
what?
I'll get to it later.
I don't
It
know.
just makes you realize how terrible he's right. When,
What's
when you're
going on?
seeing every word that way, like, it's just,
Them after jog to the started and stopped I my caught something but the above windows bay twin the two up looked porch my shield to eyebrows my overhand
I don't know how he's doing
my
A
this.
held
shield to
eye.
eyebrows, eye overhand.
my shield to eyebrows my overhand a held I rain the through squinted in eyes yes I saw it a face in the window on the left
Oh no.
the boy the same boy was there staring down at me.
Hallelujah.
All right, there we go. Okay. Wipe your feet. Don't track mud on the nice clean floors, Mom called. Her voice echoed against the bare walls of the empty living room. I stepped into the hallway. The house smelled of paint. The painters had just finished on Thursday. It was hot in the house, much hotter than outside. Like I said, this stuff is gold.
Oh, also, that's spooky. Also,
The dad's
make
voice.
fun of it as much as you want while
Yeah.
reading. We often add things to it while we're reading that definitely are not in
To the
book.
point where you're probably going to ask at some point, did it really say that? the kitchen light won't go on, Dad called from the back. Did the painters turn off the electricity or something? How should I know, Mom shouted back. Their voices sounded so loud in the big empty house. Mom, there's someone upstairs, I cried, wiping my feet on the new welcome mat and hurrying into the living room.
Wow, she really took the time to wipe her feet when she's afraid that there's a ghost in the house.
He likes a clean house. Come on.
I'm way more afraid of my dad beating me about my dirty feet than a ghost.
She was at the window, staring out at the rain, looking for the movers probably. She spun around as I came in. What? There's a boy upstairs. I saw him in the window.
I struggled to catch my breath. Josh entered the room from the back hallway. He'd probably been with Dad. He laughed. Is somebody already living here? There's no one upstairs, Mom said, rolling her eyes. Are you two going to give me a break today or what? What did
It's been obvious so far that this woman hates
Yeah,
having
the
kids.
parents hate the kids. What did I do? Josh whined. Listen, Amanda, we're all a little on the edge today, Mom started. But I interrupted her, like a bitch. I saw his face, Mom, in the window. I'm not crazy, you know. Says who? Josh cracked. Cracked, just like his voice. Amanda! Mom bit her lower lip the way she always did when she was really exasperated.
And about to hit me.
Whoa.
You saw a reflection of something. Of a tree, probably. She turned back to the window. The rain was coming down in sheets now, the wind driving it noisily against the large picture window. Again, he says window too many times.
Window has been said like at least 150 times.
By the way,
This
did
is
you guys
chapter
know that
4.
there's windows in this house? Windows. There's windows in the Windows house. I ran to the stairway, cut my hands over my mouth, and shouted up to the second floor. Who's up there? No answer. Who's up there? I called a little louder. Mom had her hands over her ears. Amanda, please! Josh had disappeared through the dining room. He was finally exploring the house. There's someone up there, I insisted, and impulsively I started up the wooden stairway, my sneakers thudding loudly on the bare steps.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, you finish this one. I always hated like the popcorn game in school where people would pick you because I'd always get scared.
He's like, where did I? Oh, I just said that's what he said.
Yeah.
This is terrifying.
I know, right?
Amanda! I heard Mom call after me, but I was too angry to stop. Why didn't she believe me? Why didn't she have to say it was a reflection? I'm so bad at reading.
That's good. It's good. Keep going.
It was a reflection of a tree I saw up there. I was curious. I had to know who was upstairs. I had to prove Mom wrong. I had to show her I hadn't seen a stupid reflection. I guess I can be pretty stubborn too. Aw, self-esteem issues. Maybe it was a family trait. Girl, probably was. The stairs squeaked and creaked under me as I climbed. I
Jesus,
didn't feel
lose some weight, right?
at all. I didn't feel at all scared until I reached the second floor landing. Then I suddenly had this heavy feeling in the pit of my stomach. I stopped breathing. Wait, I skip words. I stopped breathing hard.
I stopped breathing. And then I died. The end.
leaning on the banister. Who could it be? A burglar? A bored neighborhood kid who had just broken into an empty house for a thrill? Look at a thrill! Who has thrills? Maybe I shouldn't be up here alone, I realized. Maybe the boy in the window was dangerous.
Ooh.
My kind of man.
Bet she wishes he was.
Maybe it was her brother.
Maybe he'll take her on a ride on his
got a
ghost
ghost.
motorcycle.
Ghost fetish.
Anybody up there? I called, my voice suddenly trembling and weak. Still leaning against the banister, I listened. And I could hear footsteps scampering across the hallway. No, not footsteps. The rain. That's what it was. The patter of the rain against the slate shingled roof. For some reason, the sound made me feel a little calmer.
Yeah. You're so bad at this.
Why would she know what the roof is made of?
I don't know.
She's like a 10-year-old girl.
I don't know. And they're statistically dumb.
Science has proven that girls are dumb.
I can attest.
Specifically 10-year-olds.
I let go of the banister and stepped into the long, narrow hallway. I realized this was quickly turning into a Brandon situation. It was up here except for a rectangle of gray light from a small window at the other end. I took a few steps, the old wooden floorboards creaking noisily beneath me.
Jesus, lose some weight.
Anybody up here? Again, no answer. I stepped up to the first doorway on my left. The door was closed. The smell of fresh paint was suffocating. There was a light switch on the wall near the door. Maybe it's for the hall light, I thought. I clicked it on, but nothing happened. Anybody up here?
Somewhere else in the house, Dad was electrocuted.
I couldn't even throw in a different phrase.
Yeah.
Because he's bad at it.
Yeah. My hand was trembling as I grabbed the doorknob. It felt warm in my hand. And damp.
I thought ghosts made shit cold.
Number 1, your house is on fire. Number 2, your hand is wet.
How much research did he do?
It's a moist doorknob. I turned it and, taking a deep breath, pushed open the door. I peered into the room. Gray light filtered in through the bay window. Window. A flash of lightning made me jump back. The thunder that followed was a dull, distant roar. Slowly, carefully, I took a step into the room. Then another. No sign. No sign of anyone. This was a guest bedroom.
What? Or it could be Josh's room.
Why is that important?
It could be Josh's. If he
You know, I
decided he
feel
liked
like this is a room of a house. I think this this got 3 walls, the door, the window.
The next line is like
four walls. Hey, I'm not an architect, Chris.
we're scared, but then she's like, or it could be Josh's room if he decided he liked it.
We could throw up some wallpaper, a couple
likes-
of paintings.
A good old moist doorknob, he loves that stuff. Another flash of lightning. The sky seemed to be darkening. It was pitch black out there, even though it was just after lunchtime.
Ooh, maybe that's why they call it Dark Falls.
I backed into the hall. The next room down was going to be mine.
I just know it in my heart.
It also had a bay window that looked out on the front yard.
How many fucking bay windows are in this house?
I don't know, man.
What's the resale value?
Was the boy I saw staring down at me in my room? I crept down the hall, letting my hand run along the wall for some reason. It actually says for some reason. And stopped
Or else
outside my
even
door.
your characters don't know what they're doing.
And stopped outside my door, which was also closed.
And
Taking a deep breath, I knocked on the door. "Who's in there?" I called. I listened. Silence. Then a clap of thunder, closer than the last. I froze as if I were paralyzed, holding my breath. It was so hot up here. Hot and damp.
What?
And the smell of paint was making me dizzy. I grabbed the doorknob. "Anybody in there?" I started to turn the knob when the boy crept up from behind and grabbed my shoulder. Did it actually say Brandon's situation, or was that just a really great joke?
It's an inside
That
joke.
was great. That was great.
I feel like this was written by him just passing a sheet of paper around in just this way.
Yeah, I know. You read a page? No, you read a page? No, you read a page?
Just 5 window
There's
minimum.
3 people, one named R, one named L, and one named Stine. I like to think his mole tells him this story.
Yeah. That's why they're terrible. Okay, before I start this next chapter, chapter 5, I bet that the boy is her brother.
Yeah.
It's not a ghost. It's
Every chapter ends in a cliffhanger, and then it says, "Oh, but it was nothing."
Literally, one of the chapters ended with like her seeing, like her brother's being chased by someone or something, and then the next page is like, no, he wasn't. What's wrong with me?
He's chasing the dog around.
Yeah. Amanda. Okay.
My mistake.
Chapter 5. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't cry out. My heart seemed to stop. My chest felt as it were about to explode. With a desperate, terrified effort, I spun around. "Josh!" I shrieked. "You scared me to death!" I thought...
Bad Josh.
He let go of me and took a step back. "Gotcha!" He declared, and then started to laugh.
Pumping
What a little
fresh paint
shithead.
into the hallway just to
Yeah,
scare
yeah.
him.
But why is it still wet and damp? I don't understand that.
It's haunted by a swamp.
It was a ghost swamp.
Let's go swap. Then he started to laugh, a high-pitched laugh that echoed down the long, bare hallway. My heart was pounding hard now. My forehead throbbed. "You're not funny," I said angrily, just like my mother. I shoved him against the wall. "You really scared me." He laughed and rolled around on the floor. He's really a sicko. I tried to shove him again, but I missed. Because I'm dumb.
How do you miss a shove?
Yeah. I tried to shove him again, but I fell and I hit my face.
Chick's the worst.
Angrily, I turned away from him, just in time to see my bedroom door slowly swinging open. Gasped in disbelief and froze, gaping at the moving door. Josh stopped laughing and stood up, immediately serious, his dark eyes wide with fright. I could hear someone moving around inside the room. I could hear whispering, excited giggles. Who's there? I managed to stammer in a high little voice I didn't recognize. The door, creaking loudly, opened a bit more, and then started to close. "Who's there?" I demanded a bit more forcefully. Again, I could hear whispering, someone moving about. Josh had backed up against the wall and was edging away toward the stairs. He had an expression on his face I'd never seen before. Happiness. No, sheer terror. The door, creaking like a door in a movie haunted house, closed a little more. Just like this noise we're listening to. Josh was nearly to the stairway. He was staring at me, violently motioning with his hand for me to follow, but instead I stepped forward, grabbed the doorknob, and pushed the door open hard. It didn't resist. I let go of the doorknob and stood blocking the doorway. "Who's there?" The room was empty.
Thunder crashed. It took me a few seconds to realize what was making the door move. The window on the opposite
God
wall
loves Microsoft.
had been left open several inches.
Sexy. Can we just read the whole book sexily? Like a romance novel?
Oh my
inches.
God. I'm gonna go crawl into my chair. The next word is gusting.
Yes. replace every adjective with sexily.
No. The gusting wind through the open window must have been opening and closing the door. I guessed that also explained the other sounds I heard inside the room.
Like the giggling. It was just the giggling wind.
Giggly wind, yeah.
The sounds I thought were whispers. Who had left the window open? The painters, probably. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly, waiting for my pounding heart to settle down to normal. Feeling a little foolish, I walked quickly to the window and pushed it shut. Amanda! I can't
Amanda!
Are you alright? He's not from Texas. Josh whispered from the hallway. I guess it really wasn't a whisper.
Dark Falls, Texas.
Yeah.
I started to answer him, but then I had a better idea.
Where all the scares are big.
I was going to answer him, but I said, no.
He had practically scared me to death a few minutes before. Why not give him a little scare? He deserved it.
Amanda, you're a bitch.
Even when scared, to her wit's end, she's still going to shove Josh.
Well, and miss.
So I didn't answer him. I could hear him take a few timid steps closer to my room. Amanda? Amanda, are you okay? I tiptoed over to my closet, pulled the door open a third of the way. Very precise.
Yeah.
Then I laid down flat on the floor.
Wait, what?
On my back.
What? What?
My head and shoulders hidden inside the closet.
Wait,
and
are
the
we
rest
reading
of
Flowers in the Attic?
and the rest of me in the room.
You successfully made me groan.
Amanda!
Josh sounded very scared. I moaned loudly.
Like Tina.
Yeah. I knew when he saw me sprawled on the floor like this,
He would want me.
he'd totally freak out. Amanda, what's happening? He was in the doorway now. He'd see me any second now, lying in the dark room, my head hidden from view. The lightning flashing impressively and the thunder cracking outside the old window.
That's a depressive lightning.
Yeah.
Shit. Wow. Took a deep breath and held it to keep from giggling.
Like the wind.
Yeah. Amanda! He whispered. And then he must have seen me because he uttered a loud, "Ah!" And I heard him gasp. And then he screamed at the top of his lungs. I heard him running down the hall to the stairway shrieking, "Mom! Dad!" And I heard his sneakers thudding down the wooden stairs with him screaming and calling all the way down. I snickered to myself. Then, before I could pull myself up, I felt a rough, warm tongue licking my face.
What?
Petey! He was licking my cheeks, licking my eyelids, licking me frantically. As if he were trying to revive me, or as if to let me know that everything was okay.
I mean, he was just a dumb dog.
Oh, Petey, I cried, laughing and throwing my arms around the sweet dog. Stop! You're getting me all sticky.
Pass it on.
I'm just gonna do that.
Oh, yeah, go for it. These chapters are much shorter than the first couple. Those first ones dragged.
But he wouldn't stop. He kept on licking fiercely. The poor dog is nervous too, I thought. Come on, Petey, shape up, I told him, holding his panting face away with both my hands. There's nothing to be nervous about. This new place is going to be fun. You'll see.
Ba-na-na-na.
Chapter 6. That night I was smiling to myself as I fluffed up my pillow and slid into bed. I was thinking about how terrified Josh had been that afternoon. How frightened he looked even after I came prancing down the stairs perfectly okay. How angry he was that I'd fooled him. But he deserved it, that little shit. Of course, Mom and Dad didn't think it was funny because they have no sense of humor.
And they hate
their
us.
Kids.
Yeah.
They were both nervous and upset because the moving van had just arrived an hour late. They forced Josh and me to call a truce. No more scaring each other. It's hard not to get scared in this creepy old place, Josh muttered. but we reluctantly agreed not to play any more jokes on each other if we could possibly help it.
We are kids, and we have no self-control.
The men, complaining about the rain, started carrying in all of our furniture. Josh and I helped show them where we wanted stuff in our rooms. They dropped my dresser on the stairs, but it only got a small scratch, because for some reason that's fucking important.
Your mom's gonna hurt
I
you.
built that dresser with my bare hands when I was 3. It means a lot to me. The furniture looked strange and small in this big house. Josh and I tried to stay out of the way while Mom and Dad worked all day, arranging things, emptying cartons, fighting angrily, putting clothes away. My mom even...
We're gonna get a divorce.
Mom even managed to get the curtains hung in my room. What a day! Now, a little after 10 o'clock, trying to get to sleep for the first time in my new room, I turned onto my side, then onto my back. Even though this was my old bed, I couldn't get comfortable, because it was damp and hot. Everything seemed so different, so wrong. The bed didn't face the same direction as in my old bedroom.
Of course it was damp. They moved it in the rain.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, no shit. It's a rainstorm outside. You dumbasses. Ugh. The walls were bare. I hadn't had time to hang any of my posters because you moved in that day. The room seemed so large and empty. The shadows seemed so much darker. My back started to itch, and then I suddenly felt itchy all over. The bed is filled with bugs! I thought, sitting up, but of course that was ridiculous. It was my same old bed with clean sheets. I forced myself to settle down and close my eyes. Sometimes when I can't get to sleep, I count silently by 2s, picturing each number in my mind as I think it. It usually helps clear my mind so I can drift off to sleep. I tried it now, burying my face in the pillow, picturing the numbers rolling past. 4, 6, 8... You trying to put us to sleep?
All right, I guess everyone stop. I yawned loudly, still wide awake at 2:20. What, 2:20 in the morning?
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
morning?
so.
Okay.
Hey,
Afternoon. They just...
she said 10, and I'm like 10 a.m. Those movers are really, like, good at their job.
I'm going to be awake forever, I thought. I'm never going to be able to sleep in this new room. But then I must have drifted off without realizing it. I don't know how long I slept. An hour or 2 at the most? It was a light and comfortable sleep. Then something woke me. I sat straight up, startled. Despite the heat of my room, I felt cold all over. Looking down to the end of the bed, I saw that I had kicked off a sheet and a light blanket.
Oh, good. She's got plenty of blankets. Sorry.
I'm just good we're apprised of the blanket
Yeah,
situation.
thank God I know exactly how many blankets are on her.
And that there's a scratch on her dresser.
Jesus Christ.
With a groan, I reached down for them,
Ooh,
but
yeah.
then froze. I heard whispers. Somebody was whispering across the room. Who's there? My voice was a whisper, too tiny and frightened. I grabbed my covers and pulled them up to my chin. I heard more whispers. The room came in. The room came into focus as my eyes adjusted to the dim light. The curtains, the long, sheer curtains from my old room that my mother had hung that afternoon, were fluttering at the window. So, that explained the whispers. The billowing curtains must have woken me. A soft gray light floated in from the outside.
Sean Connery. A soft gray light.
The curtains cast moving shadows onto the foot of my bed. I got like a boring page. What the
I
hell?
know. Yeah. Yeah, I got the page where she was fucking trying to make herself go to sleep.
Mine was all about covers.
Yawning, I stretched and climbed out of bed. I felt chilled all over as I crept across the wooden floor to close the window. As I came near, the curtains stopped billowing and floated back into place. I pushed them aside and reached out to close the window. Oh! I uttered a soft cry when I realized that the window was closed.
Oh, shit!
But how could the curtains flutter like that with the window closed?
Piece it together.
I stood there for a while, staring out at the grays of the night. There wasn't much of a draft. The window seemed pretty airtight.
Ryan.
Good construction,
Toast. It's bay windows.
Now, occasionally in this book, phrases will rhyme perfectly.
Really?
Like with meter and everything.
Oh,
Like,
that's
it's
amazing.
insane.
Had I imagined the curtains billowing? Were my eyes playing tricks on me? Did my incessant counting by 2s drive me to this insane conclusion? Yawning, I hurried back through the strange shadows to my bed and pulled the covers up as high as they would go. Amanda, stop scaring yourself, I scolded. When I fell back to sleep a few minutes later, I had the ugliest, most terrifying dream. I dreamed that we were all dead.
Oh, you can't die in dreams. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, you wake up right before.
I think we need to talk to Amanda because she's clearly written on the page. She's had
I'm
that
writing a
problem.
letter.
Dear R.L.
The book you
Another
published
one.
20 years ago.
Follow up.
You published a book.
I myself sent you a fan letter. I have some more questions after further review. At first, I saw us sitting around the dinner table in the new dining room. The room was very bright. So bright I couldn't see our faces very well. They were just a bright, very white blur. But then, slowly, everything came into focus, and I could see that beneath our hair, we had no faces.
Oh, then how did you know it was you?
Oh, good point. Maybe
Right.
the bodies. Maybe distinct body shapes.
Yeah, I guess. That looks like Dad's fat stomach. Their dad's fat. They said it a couple of times.
Our skin was gone, and only our grey-green skulls were left. Bits of flesh clung to my bony cheeks. There were only deep black sockets where my eyes had been. The four of us, all dead, sat eating in silence. So many good S noises. Our dinner plates, I saw, were filled with small bones.
It's a girl.
A big platter in the center of the table, piled high with grey-green bones. Now I'm just going regular Scottish.
Grey-green bones.
Grey-green bones.
You know
human-looking
nothing,
bones.
Jon Snow.
And then, in this dream, our disgusting meal was interrupted by a loud knocking on the door, an insistent pounding that grew louder and louder. It was Kathy, my friend from back home. Her friend was
her
fat
fat
as well.
friend.
I could see her at her front door, pounding on it with both hammy fists. I wanted to go answer the door. I wanted to run from the dining room and pull open the door and greet Kathy.
As a skeleton.
I wanted to talk to Kathy. I wanted to tell her what happened to me, to explain that I was dead and that my face had fallen away. I wanted to see Kathy so badly.
Skeleton. Why don't you lose some weight?
But I couldn't get up from the table. I tried and tried, but I couldn't get up. The pounding on the door grew louder and louder until it was deafening, but I just sat there with my gruesome family, picking up bones from my dinner plate and eating them. I woke up with a start, the horror of the dream still with me. I could still hear the pounding in my ears. I shook my head, trying to chase the dream away.
But how could you eat the bones if you don't have a face?
Right?
Like, where do they go?
Like, skeletons don't eat bones,
This kid's
right?
not smart.
It's a dream.
It was morning. I could tell from the blue of the sky outside the window. That's how you tell that it's morning? Oh.
Could be any time of day.
Oh, no! The curtains. They were billowing again, flapping noisily as they blew into the room. I sat up and stared. The window was still closed. Ba 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 ba.